The next presentation I will give on behalf of Meezanur Rahman, who has just finished a couple of months ago a 3-year Artemia project in Bangladesh. I see that Meezanur is following online. Sorry, Meezanur, that you couldn't make it, so on behalf of you, I will give the presentation that you have prepared. So the EU has financed a 3-year project, Artemia4Bangladesh, as you see there, the symbol on the top, in an area, the southeast of Bangladesh, where you find the highest density, the highest number of poor solar salt farmers. And the idea and the objective of the project was to not only increase the productivity of the salt producers and the aquaculture producers, but see how this can be attained, how this can be achieved through the use of innovative initiatives with Artemia. So 16 salt farmers were involved in clusters, so 16 different clusters. You can see the red dots there in several districts in that Cox's Bazar area. Contrary to some of the other Artemia projects we have been involved in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in a number of countries, this was really the first time where, well, thanks to the available budget also, that we could really work with multiple stakeholders. And I think at the end of the project we can say that, and this was certainly thanks to the efforts of Meezanur, to bring the different parties together. Parties that of course were very obvious, like the people who bring in the technology, but to make sure that you also have the government, that you have the farmers, the private companies, the non-governmental organizations. So this was really a concerted effort. And where the effort was also multidisciplinary in terms of what is the aim? Is it just the aim to produce Artemia cysts and Artemia biomass? No, there was a salt factor that one was looking in. Then you see under the word aquaculture really different species that are locally produced and that could locally benefit from availability of Artemia. And then even you might say, what does that come to do here, the vegetables? Well, the dikes, all the local structures that are available that could be put into the overall program of improving the life of the poor salt farmers. And you will also hear about, this was the first project where quite some emphasis was also on Artemia as human factor, particularly for the malnourished children in that region. And of course, working in an EU project, gender and youth engagement is important. So the technologies you see there to the right, of course, very preliminary focus was on Artemia pond culture. No time to go into the details, but pond design, how to organize the algae pond, the Artemia pond. This is mainly where Dr. Hoa, who is in the room here from Kantö University, was involved in. Then in aquaculture, use of the Artemia biomass in shrimp nursery, use the Artemia ponds that are productive in the rainy season, in the dry season, to have them used, which normally in the dry season are abandoned, that then they can be used for example, tilapia culture. Traditional aquaculture you will hear about in a moment, and homestead aquaculture. Some research was involved where we were comparing an inoculation with Artemia from Vietnam and Artemia from Brazil, crab nursing, and for the first time also see how recirculation systems could be used in the local shrimp hatcheries and nurseries. And as I mentioned, the vegetable production in the available areas of the salt farmers. So I will not go into all the details, but that shows you that we had quite a number of people involved, so it was not limited to just a few places and a few topics. And over the years from 21 to 24, and let me repeat that this was a real difficult start under COVID times. So Meezanur with his team were doing exceptional efforts under the difficult conditions to start up that project. And more people got involved, as you see over the years, in the different activities of the project. Here also the evolution of the quantities. Cysts has been minor. You see 120 kilos were produced. That was not the main focus of the project. Why? Because biomass, there was a captive market that could immediately result in convincing the people, convincing the salt farmers and the aquaculture farmers that this is a product that they could put right immediately in use. So you see some pictures here of the Artemia cyst collection. A very simple processing was done in brine. No need to go for the drying technique, because for Bangladesh and use in the hatcheries, you can easily store the cysts in brine for a period of up to 1 year, as it has been tested. The Artemia, just to show you how active these Artemia are produced there. So the Artemia was sold as live biomass, most of it, and then just like we heard from earlier presentations, extra harvests of the day that were not sold were then, what should I do here? ADD. Yeah. So frozen Artemia biomass was then kept for, and now I don't manage to move to the next one. Thanks. Artemia biomass was also used, you see the adult shrimp. We were really impressed to see the big difference between feeding live Artemia biomass versus frozen Artemia biomass. And the breeding center there could report that they had much better maturation and that they had significant different results using the fresh live Artemia biomass versus the frozen. So the Artemia biomass was also used in shrimp nursing, crab nursing, ornamental fish. You see the different applications. Cyst quality, well, Meezanur is mentioning the best quality cysts in the world. Well, okay, he is right, but it is a similar best quality as the product that is produced in Vietnam, coming from the same origin. But interesting to mention is that the experimental, most of the work was done with the Vietnamese cysts as inoculum, that the one experiment that was done with Brazilian Artemia franciscana, originally also introduced from the same place in the San Francisco Bay, resulted also in a similar quality in terms of small size and the high EPA content. A lot of training sessions were organized. We have seen very nice outcome of the increased production you see from the baseline before the project up to the results for 2023, the kilograms per hectare of tilapia that could be produced in an area that in the past was not being used. Same here for the shrimp in a very extensive system. In the pond culture, the traditional pond culture system. But what is interesting to see here is that any canal, any of the waters that are being used in building up salinity, but still acceptable for shrimp production, and then particularly also during the rainy season, and very significant increase in production, again expressed in kilograms per hectare per year. Homestead aquaculture, okay, this is a sideline, but this where the families that operate the salt ponds were also trained that not in the salt ponds, but for example, the pond near the house where they are stocking water, that they can integrate it with some aquaculture, with also quite spectacular improvements over the period of time. So the area that has been produced that has been involved in this project has expanded quite a lot. So where we have training areas, so where there was really focus with the training, 867 hectares, demonstration 270 hectares. And then you see what the outcome has been in metric tons of extra shrimp, fish, and crab over the year. Okay, we don't have the time to go into much detail, but interesting to see in parentheses, you see the figures in euros. So what has been the profitability by integrating that traditional artisanal salt production in quite a big area? I forgot to tell you that there are more than 50,000 farmers, more than 50,000 families involved in that. I could consider it even as subsistence survival, that they have improved their income by integrating the activities of Artemia production, but also the other areas of using the ponds in the rainy season for aquaculture activities. So pond dikes, when I was talking about that homestead vegetable production, you see on the dikes, every area that is available, people, particularly the women, were trained and helped to get some extra income. This is one of the first projects where a lot of attention has been given to the use of Artemia in human consumption. There are even a booklet with recipes in the local language on how to make Artemia kebab, how to make a number of preparations, which are very well received in the poorer communities, especially with the salt farmers. It originated in Vietnam with the so-called Artemia omelette, but here I must say they have refined the product with a combination of local herbs. So when I was referring to the Artemia kebab, it's 70% Artemia biomass. The other 30% is a local pea that they are using as a binder, plus the herbs, and I must say a delicious product. Artemia biomass also used in crab nursing, and I like to add here that this is also one of the first projects outside Vietnam where the local produced small-sized Artemia under the form of umbrella can be used in the hatchery of the mud crab. You know, or some of you know, that this is a big success, over 1 billion crablets produced in Vietnam, 300-400 hatcheries. There are people here in the room from Vietnam that can give you all the details. Thanks to the fact that they can replace the rotifers and use the umbrella Artemia, the Vinh Chau strain. Same here was documented with another species of mud crab in Bangladesh. So that really opens more opportunities, I think, for a lot of the Southeast Asian, including China, to develop further mud crab hatchery production. Also, very simple approach in using recirculation system helped a lot the local shrimp hatcheries and also the breeding center to have better biosecurity and better results in the use of recirculation systems. The project has focused a lot on capacity building with the different stakeholders, so making sure also that it was not just a technology transfer to the salt farmers, but that the NGOs, that the associations responsible for the salt farming, that they were all involved and could see the benefits of working together. In local language, some have been translated. You see here the Artemia recipe book. If some of you are interested, you can get an English version of the recipe book. So a lot of training and extension materials were developed. So the project has come to an end earlier this year, has been seen in fact as a pilot project, because the area in Bangladesh where probably the biggest potential is for the future is the Shaktira, Kulna area, some of you might be familiar with, where there is a lot of shrimp and macrobrachium farming, but where they do not have the good salinities in order to set up the hatcheries. And this is where it was either in one of the, it's in the coming slide here, where when you produce salt, you can harvest, it was initially started in Thailand, but it is now practiced in quite a number of Southeast Asian countries. You just let the seawater evaporate to 120 grams per liter, and you have a perfect brine, 1 cubic meter of that brine, plus 4 cubic meters of good quality fresh water. You have 5 cubic meters of seawater of a better biosecure quality than the local seawater, or in cases like what the aim is with the project, the further developments of the projects in Bangladesh, to move to an area where it might not be the best, the most suitable conditions to produce salt, going all the way to 300 grams per liter. No, over a much shorter period, half the time, you could reach a salinity of 120 grams per liter and be able to serve as a source of water to develop local shrimp hatcheries, marine fish hatcheries, you name it, as is successfully done at commercial level in Vietnam and in Thailand. Thank you very much.